Choo choo train chicken check. Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first time my voice will be coming into this microphone and blessing your ears on this podcast that we put together in the year of 2022. Now, this is the first time I directly talked to you. Last week, obviously, we would have had the lovely Maya Tipene, which got an absolutely overwhelming response, and a lot of the cool things coming from it is just how small this community is, but also how amazing some of the guests we get on. And I'm very lucky to have these people come through and trust that I will share their story the best that I can. So it's really nice to get those interviews going again, and I know that a lot of you are enjoying that. I guess you were getting a bit stale of me old dry voice, but here's me old dry voice again. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. So I've got a bit to go through today, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I've been up to, because when we have a fortnight away from each other, it does feel like a very long time, and it feels like I haven't spoken to you in a while, and it feels like I also haven't spoken just in general. So I've got a lot of thoughts just flowing in this damn big brain of mine, and we know how that goes. So anyway, we're going to kick off 2022 the way we know how to, just talking about a whole bunch of, I don't know. I ain't got you. So it's a new year, it's 2022, new year, new me, that some people say, and I've always dispelled that, and I've always tried to stay away from that whole mentality. I mock it a lot. It was almost like using YOLO, YOLO, you'd say it as like a funsies thing if you're just doing something that's absolutely ridiculous. The new year, new me thing, I also try to stay away from, and it's basically because you're still you. Right, everything that's about you, everything that's about who you are, what you've built up to this point is still you. It's the same old you. Now, the type of person that you want to be, and the types of things that you want to be, can change, but overall, your essence is still going to be the same. And the reason why I say this is because we're not bad people. We just partake in very bad things. So when people ask me, or sometimes, sorry, I'm generalizing there. And sometimes, a lot of people ask me this, and a lot of people who know me will listen to this and be like, yep, same thing he says every single time. But when people ask what's my New Year's resolution, I just say I don't do resolutions. I just aim to be better than I was last year. So I continue to do the things that I was doing. I continue to work towards the goals, work towards the aspirations that I've always had, but I aim to do it better. And yeah, the New Year's resolutions for me, I understand, and if you listen to at the start of last year, at the start of 2021, I did a 4-part series on setting resolutions and how we can become better people, in terms of creating habits, in terms of being kinder to yourself, being more self-compassionate, and how self-compassion is actually going to be the thing that helps you drive you towards your goals, and it's going to be the thing that helps you set up more maintainable and sustainable practices with everything that you're doing, mostly talking around nutrition and physical activity, obviously, but then there are obviously other habits that are going to form who you want to be, because we're not just physical beings. There are a lot of other things that go on as well. But I think the best thing that we get with a New Year's resolution is that it gives us a calendar point to start thinking about where it is that we need to go for the next 12 months. And now I always think about my 12 months as something building on to the previous 12 months, which is built on to the other 27 years that has been life previously to where I'm at now. And I just tick off everything that I'm doing, but then I aim to be better. And the only way that I can be better is by using this as a time for reflection, or as a time to look back on where I have been. And, I can look at all the things that I can congratulate myself for. And there's plenty of those. I can also look at the things that I didn't do quite well, or that I'm still, I'm not regretting them, but I'm still thinking I could have done that better. Those are things that I should work on a little bit. What are the things that I have done that, could take a little bit of tweaking? And then are there possibilities for me to tweak those things? Or are they things that I should just probably leave in 2021 or in the previous years? That's the good thing about the new year. That's the good thing about having a fresh start. And I have said this before, that maybe when people say I will start on Monday, I will start on the first day of this month, or I'll start on the first day of this year, that's what it gives people that chance to reset. Now that's awesome, but I don't think that, for me, resolutions, for me, a new day, all of that sort of stuff is nothing significant to me. you ask me, on my birthday, what did I do? Exactly the same that I did on every other day. My Christmas, I knew that if I was to go elsewhere, I wouldn't maintain the same routine that I had. So what did I do? Exactly what I do every single other day, except I did it by myself. And a lot of people are going to say to me, that's quite stale. How the heck do you live a life like that? And I just like, every day I see as an opportunity to be better, but also I see every day as super special. So it doesn't matter what name you put on it, for the sake of consumerism or for the sake of all that sort of stuff. If I can minimize my stress and I can minimize the amount of kind of that anxiety in me that feels like I've wasted something or that feels like I haven't optimized myself, then I'll do it. And so now you can kind of see that this is just how I'm wired. This is just how I've become who I am. But it hasn't always been like this. So before, the general gist is that I will look at my overall picture of my life and who I want to be and where I want to be. And then after that point is when I'll start to see what types of things fit into that, what types of relationships fit into that, what types of activities that I'm going to do will fit into that. So we'll look into a little bit about that shortly, and that's what this episode's going to be about. And I just want to do a short little chat here, but what I want to do now is just actually go through what I did to get away. So a lot of you are probably just listening to this and being like, gosh, this guy's so militant. He has, really has no life. But I saved my Christmas and I saved a lot of my time to actually go away with my family and be able to enjoy those moments, because I know that if I had work that I had to do, or if I had something that I hadn't quite accomplished, or if I had different things that were kind of lingering on my mind, I'm the type of person who likes to complete things. Otherwise they do stay there, and I can't compartmentalize as well as other things. So even if we're going away to the most beautiful places, I will still be thinking I should have done that, and it's not a nice feeling to have. So yeah, it all started basically because I drove. So I pretty much drove from the South Island. I drove from Dunedin all the way up to Wellington to then Taranaki or New Plymouth. And that was a long time. That was a really long drive, and it was a lot of time for me to be by myself and just think and just go through a bunch of things. And it was really nice to have that moment to myself and to be on the road. And like I've said before, you can't be more present most times than when you're on the road, obviously, because you need to. You're operating heavy machinery and you're looking around, and you need to be cognizant of where you are, because you put yourself in danger and you also put other people in danger if you're not. And so I had to be present. I was super present in that time, and I just really, the reflections that I had. So this was like a couple of days before the new year, and I just, I'm super proud of the year that I had last year, and a lot of the challenges that I put myself through just to become a better person overall. And I was happy with, the overall missions that we were able to accomplish, and just the kind of things that I put myself through, and the decisions that I made for myself to be able to be happy. One of the biggest ones, obviously, finishing my PhD, finishing a bunch of academic papers, getting through my first entire full year as a researcher or as an employed researcher, saying no to a bunch of opportunities because I knew I had more opportunities, and also taking a step into being an academic and being what do you call it, like a professional, and not being the young person who has to do things for other people just because I'm young anymore. Like now I'm a specialized expert in different things, and I can be that, and I think I nailed that role this year, definitely. Also just thinking about how content and happy I am, just with a lot of the relationships that I have, the relationship that I have with myself, moving out of that house and actually moving into a house with people that I really enjoy, which has a lot of sun, which just has a lot of space, and just has a lot of, I think, opportunities for me to just enjoy myself. And I don't know if it's the place itself, or if I think it's just I'm in a new environment and I'm away from people who just generally made me miserable. But anyway, so I'm happy to be out of there, and I'm happy to be in this new place. And I think just on top of that, I've got a lot of things that I'm working towards, and that consume my mind a lot of the time, because all I want to do is get good at them. So that's also what's helping me. So everything that I'm in right now, I'm thriving and I'm striving to be better. So I think that's the best combinations that we can have. It's nothing's too simple for me at the moment. If anything, everything's quite difficult / like, I've got a little bit to work towards, and then once I achieve that, there's more that I can achieve. And that's not just pay progressions in my job, but it's also just skill-wise. And it's also just, different things that I can learn. And once I do learn them, I'm actually going to be, competent at a few things, and then it makes me a bit more useful in different areas. So yeah, we had a family getaway. Oh my gosh. A lot of you would have seen on my story, so I've been documenting a lot more. But when I got off the ferry, I didn't tell people this. So when I did get off, it was a really early morning wake up. I was pretty ruthless actually, but I had my mask on, and because I hadn't taken my morning antihistamine, yeah, it was awkward. Like, we were so surrounded, when you're just about to get off the ferry, and a lot of people want to get off, and you're just surrounded by these different people, but you kind of had to go to your car at that point, but we were kind of all just standing there waiting to get let out into our cars. And I really wanted to just go back and blow my nose. But the good thing about having a mask, but also not the good thing about having a mask, is that I could just feel the biggest drip of booger just coming down my nostril. And I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I can't do anything about this because I can't remove my mask to wipe it, obviously, but also, like, if it hits, it was so uncomfortable. So anyway, I kind of, when you get a bleeding nose and you're leaving your head back a little bit, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to, go home, but it didn't quite work. Anyway, so we did that, and I managed to get back into my car, and this has always been a fear of mine, but when you, like, need to start your car in front of a bunch of people, I was so nervous that my car wouldn't turn on for no reason. I've never had a problem with it. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood, boom, boom, boom. I've never had a problem with it in the past. It's always turned on. It's quite a new car. But when the pressure is on, I freak out. And I was like going through all the different phases of what if this happens, and I started looking at other cars, and I was like, oh, if mine doesn't start, that one definitely wouldn't start, and just all these different things, and like just looking at where I am in the line, and then I was like, oh no, my line was the first one that went out, but car turned on, nothing, just nothing, no problems whatsoever. And it was the same in Raro, but I think this was where my fear is from. My motorbike in Raro, you'd go to places, you'd be with people, you'd all be saying bye to each other, but then it's that awkward thing where, like, sometimes your bike doesn't start, and my bike notoriously would just not start sometimes. So you'd be talking, and then you'd kickstart it like 5 times, then you'd wait, then you'd try electric start, then kickstart again. So I think that's actually where my fears have come from, and they're transferred to the big stage. But now the car just be working fine. So anyway, we went up the line. It was really cool to be with my siblings again. I talk about my siblings all the time, my brother and my sister, but we spent a lot of time together, and we went up to Taranaki. And I guess the honourable mentions is firstly just having a big place. Like, it really felt cheaper by the dozen-ish because there were so many of us in this one place, or it was kind of like, it was a less stressful Home Alone, like when they're all in the McAllister house and everyone's throwing stuff around, but it was a bit more organised than that. So we had a really nice place. We could see the maunga, and it was beautiful. It was really nice to be away, and it actually felt like summer. So for all of our Northern Hemisphere listeners, we are summer barbecues type deal for Christmas and whatnot here. And that was peaceful. It was really, really peaceful, and I really enjoyed my time there. And I got to see some people who I never thought I'd see. And yeah, no, everything just really fit into place. And I think I truly found myself feeling relaxed on the first day that I got there, and just feeling really fulfilled with the amount of travel that I've done. Because in that 24-hour period, I'd pretty much driven from Wellington all the way up to Taranaki, so halfway up the North Island. And yeah, no, I felt refreshed. I felt energized. I felt, after all that driving, after all that sitting, I actually felt like I had more to give, and I had, my brain was clear, and I could think, and it was amazing. So we did that, and I think the honourable mention of this trip was we went to, there were some sand dunes there that people would have seen on my what do you call that thing? Instagram. And there are a lot of these little island things in the water, and I just remember so pretty much he's a tohunga himself. He's a sacred specialist. You can tell he's quite young, but he's on his way to being that. But his name's Hawati. He messaged me when I took a photo of the islands that were in the sea, and he was just like, "Where's that, bro?" And I was like, "Oh, it's in New Plymouth," and just told him where it was, and he was like, Ngā Motu. So the many islands, and then you just see the islands in the sea. And then when I re-looked at the photo, I was like, oh my gosh, there are a bunch of these little looking island things in the sea. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I love the origin of things getting their names, and actually seeing them kind of play out, and how the names are so significant to those different places, and how they're good representations of what those places are. And then another place that kind of has representation in terms of its name, but it had an English name, a Pākehā name, was the Three Sisters. So we went and travelled to the Three Sisters. It was about an hour drive from where we were.
And these are not like your thick sisters. These are not like, some WAP sisters. We're talking three actual rocks, and there were a bunch of pools there and stuff. But like when we were there, gosh, it was beautiful. It was immaculate. It was so pretty. It's one of those places where like it's really impossible to get a photo in front of specific rocks because there's just so many people there. So if you wanted a cool photo, you're probably going to have like a dog, a child, or just a family running around behind you, getting different angles. But when we were there, gosh, like it was so windy, and we just had all these dogs with us, and it didn't matter how far you went, all you just hear is, Nico, Remy. Not so much Bowie. Bowie's a really good dog, but it was just like, Remy, like all from everywhere. And it didn't matter where you were. And I just, like, it was so windy there, and I was just like, this dog, I don't know much about this dog right now, but he's a bad mofo. Like, he's going to grow up to be a naughty kid, one of those kids who just eats glue and Jovies and stuff like that. But yeah, it was funny. It's just people yelling at dogs, and at times I just started yelling random people's names, and I didn't think anyone even cared. Just like, John, come back, John. So just doing that, and yeah, no, I mean, it just really reminded me of some movies. Do you ever watch movies, and they're doing different things, but like they're talking normally? So the Avengers used to do it until I started realizing that maybe Tony Stark put some headpieces into their different ears, but like that'd be like full on fighting, explosions, everything, and they'd be like, "Where's that cube?" Like talking normally. How do they all hear each other? It's ridiculous. And then I also noticed it, and I don't like to fault Home Alone too often, but he plays a regular TV, right? A regular TV, no surround sound, no nothing. And then he always plays that one movie, and he talks to people using that movie. Have you turned your TV up really, really loud? It's barely loud enough to scare you, but then there's gunshots in it as well. How do these people not feel that there's a lot of things in this movie where you're just like, how did these people not? But like, you totally know that that's not voice. There's no vibration. There's nothing come through. So anyway, just sounds. And I think another thing that I find in movies when that sort of thing happens is when people are in a bar and then someone says something and it all goes silent. Oh yeah, like they all heard this one person. Ugh. Get out of town. But anyway, that has nothing to do with this. But the Three Sisters was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I was just always, the wind was carrying everyone's noises. So if we couldn't hear each other and we were pretty close to each other, I just wonder how in those movies that all happens there. Another thing, a guy got his license taken off him. So there was a guy who was swerving on the back roads that we were staying by, and he almost hit the car that was in front of us, and we were kind of in a convoy, and they called the police, and the police tracked this car down and took his license off him. That stuff only happens in movies, or it happens on like Facebook, that you see it, that someone reported it and someone makes a post about it. I've never been part of the convoy or part of the people who actually affected that sort of change. So yeah, anyway, one person off the road, and hopefully we're a little bit safer. But apparently they almost swerved and hit the car that was in front of us, that was part of our convoy, and we didn't even see the car. So I don't know if I have a problem and we didn't actually see anything, or I don't know. I really don't know, because we weren't too far behind that car. So anyway, we out here, and I'm a good driver, I promise you that. What else has been going on? Oh man, yeah. So this whole New Year's resolution stuff, it was a great trip. I got to spend some time, before we get into the New Year's resolution stuff, I got to spend some time with my sister, go see some more friends, and be out in nature for a little bit as well, like just being rural for a little bit, for a couple more days, just outside of Taranaki. And man, there's something about taking a photo and not sharing it immediately. Actually taking that photo for the moment that you are in when you are taking it. So not having reception often, or not really having any reason to share something, and just taking photos of scenes, taking photos of things that you were doing, and not sharing them immediately. Something about that actually, when we talk about being present, sometimes we're only We're living moments to be able to share with different people. And that's the problem that I found with Instagram a lot of the time, especially when you start to build a following. And I think that's something that I've been really grateful for the podcast for. I don't have to share everything online. I can also share things using my words and actually describing it as a different medium. And if people want to see it, I can send them photos. But just, I think, being a bit more cautious or being a bit more aware of the types of things that I'm posting, and then the types of moments that I'm having when I am sharing those, and maybe not sharing them all now because it takes that sentimental value of the moment away, of the experience away. So just being out offline for about 2 days, 3 days, and taking photos, but just consciously taking it in and then taking a breath and looking at everything around me rather than immediately going down to post it so that everyone can see the awesome time that I'm having, so that I can get gratification from other people that it's beautiful, because I already know it's beautiful. It's already cleansing my soul and all that sort of stuff. So I think this leads into the New Year's resolution stuff, where the type of person I want to be is the person who is more present and present in all of the different things that I'm doing, so that I can get better at them. And I just want everyone to be able to, enhance your opportunity to just have a super great life. Making sure you're exercising for the right reasons. You're eating nutritious food to fuel your body. And just, I think, when we start to think about all these different things, what we need to start thinking about and really just starting to channel our mind into, and these are the tips that I'm going to give, and this is how I live my life, and this is where I get fulfillment in the types of things that I do, is just knowing what it is that I am working towards. So I think now we need to discern between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. And I've spoken about this often, and I know with habit formation, and I know with the types of things people want to get into for the person that they want to develop it into, you need to start thinking, everything that you want to do, could you see yourself doing it long term? Could you see yourself doing it in the next year? When I make my resolutions, would I have done 12 consecutive months of whatever it is that I said I would do at the start of this year in terms of my resolution? Because short-term fixes don't really fix anything in the long term. Obviously, because of the name, short-term fix. But everything that I do, I have done consistently for years. So like when I tell everyone that I stretch every morning, I literally have stretched every morning for like the last 6 years. And it's something that I do. It's part of my routine. And if I miss it, I do start to feel a little bit weird. But do I know that? No, I don't know, because I haven't missed it. But what I'm trying to say here is this, like, it takes discipline and it takes a lot of thinking to know what it is that you're going to be working towards. And okay, right, here's where I get a little bit tough, and thank you for staying with me this long, and this is going to be a bit of a rant, but a lot of the times we forgive ourselves and we say, oh, you deserve that cookie, you deserve that. I would say be nice to yourself and don't beat yourself up if you do slip off. But this is where, when I say be kind to yourself, this is the different side of being kind to yourself. This is where a lot of the short-term things that you do that takes you further away from the person that you're trying to be, this is not being kind to yourself. Being kind to yourself doesn't always mean letting yourself off when you make a mistake. Being kind to yourself makes you realize that you have made the mistake, but then put in a plan so that you can then build and become better the next time something like that comes around, or making sure that there's never an opportunity for something like despair to happen again. Now, the kindness that I think we can do is start to become disciplined in our thinking and start to thinking about who we want to be long term. And we need to think about these things a little bit more frequently. So we need to think about what type of physical conditioning we want to be in terms of our fitness and in terms of our stature sometimes. So don't get too caught up on appearance, but I think sometimes having a vision in your head is actually going to be helpful. I'm not being fat phobic, I'm not body shaming or anything like that, but a lot of people will have some sort of ideal build in their head, but just making sure that that's realistic. That's the first goal, and a lot of it is based on the types of physical movements you want to be doing. A second one is just going to be, what types of spiritual practices do you want to be part of? What types of, how spiritually involved do you want to be? What type of relationships do you want to have? What type of person do you want to be when you're dealing with different people as well? So that's that social aspect of everything. And then the mental, obviously, the mental toughness that you're going to have and your mental fortitude and all those different types of things. When challenges come up, how do you want to be when you have to face those different things? Think about all of those different categories. Think about the type of person that you describe yourself being, and then ask yourself why. Why is it that you want to be like that? Make sure that the why that you want to be like each of those things has nothing to do with you comparing yourself to someone else, or because someone else was like this, because someone else was like that. Think about what it means to you, and where it is that you can see yourself taking yourself if you were to follow that advice, or if you were to start aiming for those different things. Now, that overall person that you have them drawn, that's the person that we're aiming for, and everything that you do is going to be building towards that particular person. And I always think about this in terms of exercise or in terms of the things that I eat. That's just because that's the things that I'm most conscious of. But a lot of it has to do with my training as well, especially for rugby and for the different sports that I am involved with. And I start to think, long term, the goals are these things. I want to be better at this sport. I want to be stronger in these lifts. Yes, cool, right. The short term things are the different challenges that come up day by day. And these are the things that people get caught up with. These are the workouts that people look at and they structure it down to the smallest micro detail. But overall, they're not really looking at the big picture. But then where the little picture starts to actually have an issue, because you can be like, oh, that doesn't matter so much. But actually, every workout you miss is one vote you taking yourself away from the person that you wanted to be. Everything that you eat that doesn't agree with the nutrition that you have told yourself you would do takes yourself away from that. Every opportunity missed that you wanted to be in terms of that social person. So, for example, if you get hungover and you miss an engagement the next day, or you overcommit to a different thing because you just think that you're trying to be the super social person, but you're not. You're introverted, and it takes away a lot of your energy. It takes away from your ability to actually be social and be present in different things, because that anxiety comes back. There are a lot of different things that we need to start actually stamping our foot down on and actually having a bit more discipline, because I tell you, it is the discipline towards those things that is actually going to make you want to be a better person, because you're going towards things that agree with who you are and actually don't take you away from what your values are as an actual person. The reason I know this so well, and the reason I can talk without having notes and just speaking about this, is because this is how I live my life all the time. I do get taken away from it a lot of the time, but that's why I have constant reflection. And the constant reflection that I do have in these podcasts and with my counselor and with friends and close friends and coaches and mentors, I have a lot of really cool people around me who start to see if I am not being myself. And not being myself is aiming towards those different goals that I have in my mind. Now, the short-term thinking, that's that little bit of gratification. That's that taking that photo and posting it immediately because you want other people to tell you that you're doing well. You want your taste buds to be filled with all the amazing flavors, which, yes, is very, very good. But if you have told yourself one thing, or you've made a rule for yourself, that's not what you wanted to do. That's not what you agreed with yourself to do. So you're making a promise to yourself, and this is where that discipline comes in, and this is where another side of being kind to yourself is. So you need to be compassionate, that is sure, but be compassionate in the goals that you set for yourself, and say, okay, if we do stuff up, yes, I need to actually be tough on myself, because you want what's best for you. You do not want to feel like at the end you were shortchanged because of yourself, because all you're going to do is beat yourself up in the end. So this is another way of looking at it, because it's very easy to just let yourself off because you're being kind. But the thing is, you are the one who has to live with the consequences if this becomes the case. Now, am I living proof of a lot of the stuff that I say? I'd say so. And that's why I feel confident saying this sort of stuff. So just making sure that you're thinking about the long term, where you want to be. And, sometimes when people say, I'm going to keep myself accountable, have a friend out there who will keep you accountable. Because, yes, it's cool to post that sort of stuff, and then people are like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, taking social media break because it's just getting too much for me. And then 2 weeks later, oh my gosh, I fell off the horse, guys. So what? What are you going to do? All right, and I think this is where we need to be. If we want to be pinpoint, if we want to set these resolutions, if we want to start bringing in everything that we can to become the people that we want to be, this is where we need to be. Now, this is really hard ass, and I feel quite militant in doing it. But please, if you want to think about habit formation and really good habit formation and being happy and all that sort of stuff, I have a 4-part series that I did at the start of 2021, and I agree by all those different things. I agree that we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to exercise to actually feel good for what we're doing, and all of the different goals that we set for ourselves. We need to actually do things that actually align with our values, and don't take away from how we feel about other people as well. So we need to be in this for ourselves, but we need to start building that discipline. Now that we've been kind to ourselves, now that we've allowed ourselves through some pretty uncertain times, we can now bring the certainty to our life by being disciplined on the things that we want in terms of the goals that we set for ourselves. I don't know if this is going to be something that people listen to and actually resonate with, or is this going to be something that ends up having people hate me because I'm not giving you any option to take a way out anymore. But this is how I am with myself, and a lot of you may be like, that's exactly why you're messed up, Kaz, and that's fine. But I'm happy with where I am. I'm super content with where things are right now, and just me saying this to you actually makes me feel like we're finally on the same page. I'm super compassionate to all my friends. I'm super empathetic to a lot of my friends, and I understand exactly where different people are coming from. And hey, just because I said be disciplined does not mean that you have to give 100% all of the time, but you need to give 100% in the moments that you're in, whatever that case may be. Contextually, you might be feeling shit, but you get out and you do something. Showing up is the biggest 100% you can give, right? It doesn't matter. If you can give more effort, but your effort is going to be relative to what you can give in that moment. So I should have said that at the beginning, because you're probably just, those people who are having a difficult time are probably struggling and being like, oh my gosh, this guy hates me, I can't do that. But really, it's just all about showing up and you being honest to yourself. That's all we can really do. But anyway, we're off for a cracker of a year, and I'm so bloody excited for everything that's to come. And that's not me being cheesy or corny, but this is genuinely, with everything that I have in place for me to thrive, I think we're going to be there. So anyway, much love for everyone. I'm ready to ride this with you. We've got amazing guests coming, and it's going to be a cracker of a year. Please share the episodes if you do enjoy this. Anyway, love you all, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Much love.